We began our study of copal at Renato Herrera in 2006, focusing on the role of the bark-boring weevils in the formation of resin lumps on the trees, since these are the lumps that have been harvested by people for using copal.
The purpose of our experiment in the Bosque Norte is to see how fast the copal regenerates when it's harvested. So what we did was went around and found about 150 copal trees and then chose about a third of them that we're just watching. We've put tags on each individual resin lump. The other thing that we did with the other 2/3 of the trees is in early 2007, we harvested all of the resin lumps from about 80 trees, and we've now been monitoring those same trees every couple of months to see if weevils have come back and if resin lumps are starting to grow again.
One risk of relying on harvesting the resin made by the weevils is that we might eventually harm those weevil populations that are responsible for making the resin. That's bad for the weevils, obviously, and ultimately it's bad for the ecology of the forest. Another part of the research that we started in 2007 was the manual harvest of copal resin. Manually harvesting the copal is wounding the tree in a way that we cut into the inner bark, cut into the resin canals, and let that resin exude onto the trunk of the tree. It hardens in a couple of days, and so then we go back and refresh the cut so that each time we're getting a little bit more fresh resin from the top of the cut and letting the wound at the bottom of the cut heal. We're doing this to see how much resin we can get from manual harvesting the resin in comparison to collecting the resin made by the weevils.
There's still a lot more we want to know about the basic ecology of copal. In 2008, though, we felt ready to begin applying what we'd learned at the Renato Herrera Research Station to develop practical ways to sustainably harvest and market copal resin with small forest communities. Our team first visited several Bora native villages in the Ampiacu River region. We found that they harvest copal resin for caulking their canoes and for making masks used in a traditional festival. In addition to collecting fragrant copal from high forest trees, they also harvest resin lumps from the upper branches of a different kind of copal tree found in wet forest areas. These lumps are made from the yellow latex of a symphonia tree by the larva of a long-horned beetle, a rather distant relative of the weevils that form the resin lumps on the more common type of copal. The next stage of the project was working with Bora natives to develop new products they could make from copal to sell. They mixed fragrant resin with aromatic bark from 2 rainforest plants to make incense cones and sticks. The experimental models looked rough, but had a unique, pleasing aroma. The artisans also melted copal with wax to make scented candles. Some were formed in the pod of the machimango tree to give the candles a distinctive Amazon identity.
There is a tremendous market for pure plant oils used as fragrances throughout the world, for soaps, cosmetics, and many other applications. And the potential value from selling purified copal oil could be much greater than we could get from some of the other simple products.
The center is working with essential oil experts such as Haley Van Oosten, president of a specialty fragrance company, to learn how forest communities can produce copal oil for use in fine perfumes and other high-value products. We returned to the Bora community of Brio Nuevo to survey copal in their forest and begin learning how to extract oil from its resin. Our team first learned how to use a global positioning system device to mark key locations during the inventory. We then walked through sections of forest to look for copal trees. Since our goal is to create a sustainable harvest system, we first counted every resin lump we could see in the trunk. Team members made sure they only harvested half of the resin lumps they could reach. They planned to leave these trees alone for at least 5 years before harvesting them again. This rest will give the weevil larva and the other resin lumps a chance to mature and make the next generation of young weevils to form new resin lumps. Bora team leader Rolando Panduro expressed his thoughts about this work.
Para nosotros ha sido una forma de aprender la utilización del copal que nosotros tenemos a nivel de lo que es la selva. Entonces, nadie mejor que nosotros mismos cosechar y ver el proceso de cómo se obtiene el producto.
A distillation apparatus was set up to process the resin collected by the copal team, and mashed cassava root was pasted on the seams. We soon learned, though, that a quick-setting plumbing caulk did a better job of keeping the steam in the copper pots. After several hours of heating the water and resin, a beautifully scented golden oil began dripping into the collecting flask. If this oil has good commercial potential, the venture could improve family livelihoods in the village and give the community a practical incentive to carefully manage this resource and keep their forest intact.
Entonces el trabajo ha sido óptimo gracias al apoyo de acá, del equipo que estamos aquí, con el apoyo de ustedes y de la señora Julie que está allá, de las caminatas que hicimos. De esa manera también conocimos la forma del el árbol que no conocíamos tanto, y es beneficio no solamente para nosotros sino para la comunidad, y por qué no decirlo para la ciencia, que gracias a ustedes estamos conociendo el proceso del copal. Ajá. Ah, el puente de Felipe. Un recuerdo. ¡Cuidado! ¡Uy! ¡Uy! Espérate, doctor.
Uh-huh. No worries.
No, está bien. ¿Está bien? Ya, mejor. Ya está bien. Recuperó la balanza.